right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the Backs to Riches podcast. I'm Zach Ginn, your host. I quitted my minimum wage bag boy job to pursue the riches of real estate investing at the age of 17 and never looked back. I'm here to educate and inform entrepreneurs, young and old, how to become complete real estate investors by talking to the best and most influential minds in real estate. I'm joined by our guest today, Mr. Real Estate Worldwide himself, Kent Clothier. Kent is a real estate investor. Him and his multiple companies have done thousands of real estate deals every single year. He is a speaker, author, mentor, creator of Real Estate Worldwide, and most importantly, a father and a husband living in San Diego, California. He obviously has way more titles than that, but for time's sake, we'll keep it there. I'm excited to have you on today, Kent.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. Glad you hit me up.
Perfect. So the point of this podcast is to talk to some of the best minds of real estate, and you're obviously had to be on this list. So I'm really excited today about it. So let's get started with the cliche thing. How did you get started from into real estate investing?
So I started back in 2003, really, in Broward County, Florida. And the way I got started was I had built a really successful grocery company down there with the help of hundreds of other people. And the company was doing basically we were buying and flipping truckloads of groceries is what we were doing. And we did it very, very well. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then, so I spent from the time I was 17 till the time I was 30 doing that and got really good at it. And then when I was 30, got into a run-in with my partners and eventually kind of got pushed out of my company, or I shouldn't say my company, out of the company by then. And spent a couple of years banging around trying to figure out how to, rebuild what I had worked so hard for so long. And then eventually got to a place where after just effectively losing everything, got to a place where I had no place to turn. And so I ended up stumbling across real estate wholesaling, one of those late night infomercials. Went down, checked it out, and was just desperate enough to get involved. And as fate would have it, it ended up being a decision that kind of changed the course of my life because I became very, very good at it. And ultimately, you fast forward all these years later and have been able to build, an empire doing it and help hundreds of thousands of people along the way. So I got started out of desperation. It's probably the easiest answer I can give you.
Wow, definitely. Wow, that's cool. So who do you say your mentors were starting out in real estate?
Well, although I didn't know him, the way I got involved was through a guy by the name of Russ Whitney, who was kind of a guru back in the day. And then my father-in-law, right after I got started in real estate, I got remarried. And my father-in-law had been very successful in real estate investing, and he kind of took me under his wing and showed me a few things. And then along the way, I've had, a lot of different, I don't know that I've really had a mentor per se in real estate, but I've had a ton of mentors in life and in business, along the way. Whether it's been Roland Frazier, Frank Kern, Ed Milet. I mean, I've had a lot of guys over the years that have kind of helped me to kind of stay on track and keep my head straight and keep me moving in the kinds of directions that I needed to be moving in. Ryan Dice, Perry Belcher, a lot of guys that really taught me what it meant to be really good at marketing and business, which are two really important skills when you're in business, right? Understanding fundamentally how to run a business and build a business is huge. The mentor that I'd had in the grocery industry was a gentleman by the name of Sal Ricciardi, as well as my father. But those guys taught me how to build a really, really big business. And then I turned around and, again, to some of the help of a lot of other people, other mentors, learned how to bring that knowledge to the real estate space. Because when I got involved in real estate investing, none of this existed. What exists today, right? There weren't all the systems and the CRM and the marketing platforms and the way to go out and, purchase leads and online. None of that stuff was around, right? And so we kind of were at the forefront at Real Estate Worldwide at developing a lot of those things, quite frankly. And a lot of that was because of people that I had been around and that I was bringing it from other industries and bringing it over.
Definitely. So Just to clarify this, so if someone looks at you on social media, they'll see you, they'll see a real estate worldwide background. I mean, can you explain real estate worldwide to some of the listeners that don't know who you are?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, when I got started, I got started in 2003, and I got really good at wholesaling houses, effectively buying and flipping the contract. My first year, I did roughly 100 transactions, and then by the time of 2007, I was doing 300 transactions a year consistently, making millions of dollars. And what people did not realize what I was doing, though, is I was using a process that I'd used over in the grocery industry. And the process was called reverse wholesaling, where effectively I'm starting with the end in mind. I go and I find all the buyers, all the cash buyers, by the way, that are actively buying, and I create the opportunity for us to work together, right? I do that through marketing, get them to call me, and then I'm very much in control of the conversation, control of the relationship. I clearly know what I'm doing and the value that I bring to that relationship. And then ultimately, based on all the information that I'm getting out by nurturing that relationship with the cash buyer, I'm turning around and I am making sure that the only opportunities that I'm creating when it comes to seller marketing and creating deals are opportunities that I feel really confident that I can go sell to my cash buyers.
Okay.
And so that little philosophy, in 2007, 2008, the entire market started to collapse. So as this whole market is collapsing, all the banks are drying up, funding, credit's all going away. And as that's happening, all of my competitors are basically out of business because what they were doing was flipping to people who needed financing. But because I've been working for so long with people who don't need banks, who have cash, I was kind of last man standing, if you will. And not only last man standing, but my business was growing exponentially year over year. And so suddenly I kind of looked like a hero in the space. And I was nothing. I was not a guru. I was not anybody who had any aspirations of doing any of this kind of stuff that I do today. But a lot of people that I respect started coming to me and saying, listen, man, you've got to show other people how to do what you're doing because it's unique, it's different. Nobody's ever done it this way. And so I started, by then I was showing people how I was going into public records and isolating and finding cash buyers and then turning around and marketing to them. And then I created a piece of software that would do that. It was in 2008. It was called Find Cash Buyers Now. And so between 2008 and 2011, I think we probably sold $30 million in this one piece of software. And people were just going crazy over it because they'd never seen or heard anything like that. And then quickly we started adding other components to it once we realized it was a real business, right? That this had legs. And so then we started using data to find private lenders the same way, right? And then we started, nobody had ever heard of how to find a vacant property from your desktop until we figured out the formula to do it and brought that. So suddenly we had cash buyers, private money, motivated sellers, and quickly this software that we had created now kind of solved a lot of different problems, and Real Estate Worldwide was born right then, really in the way it is today. And meaning that, hey, we have all these lead systems. We're showing you how to use them. I'm teaching you how to do this. Well, now let me start really putting a brand to it. Let me really show you, what we really do. And so we started training investors all over the country because, there's a lot of money, a lot of people out there trying to train people on how to flip a few properties, but there's very few people that are flipping 900 properties a year like we are, right? Yeah. And there's very few people who have all the systems and have built it from the ground up and all that kind of stuff. And so that was kind of our unique thing for a long time. And Real Estate Worldwide kind of started to run away from the pack a little bit, showing people there is a better way to wholesale deals. There's a better way to do it. Use these things, connect these dots, and it'll kind of start making sense for you. And it's just continued to grow ever since then. So here we are, kind of been in the business now, officially in the education space like this now for 13 years.
Wow.
Tens of thousands of people use our software. Hundreds of thousands have bought our trainings. And so it was one of those things we never set out to do it. It's just when you do something that's really unique and helps people, the industry kind of found me.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you were starting out doing 300, making millions, did you have a team with you? And was this all in Broward?
It was in Broward and Palm Beach, and I had two other people with me at that point. And basically, I had an administrative assistant. I mean, she was a lot more than that. She was kind of my right hand utility player that did everything for us. And then I had a marketing guy, and he would do some of the acquisitions, and I would do all the sales. And between the three of us, we were kind of killing the game.
And what prompted you to move from Broward, making all this money, helping people out, all the way to California?
Back in 2012, I'd gotten to a place where, I was kind of nationally recognized. I was speaking all over the country. I had a lot, like I said, tens of thousands of people that were my customers at this point. And one of the big things that I had shared with my group over and over and over again was that my first go around in business, I had lost sight of what really mattered. I had built a really successful business with the help of hundreds and hundreds of people. I was a part of that process, but I took a lot of pride in being the first guy at the office and the last guy to leave. And nobody could outwork me. I was really, really proud of how hard I worked at what I had done, but I had done it at the expense of my family. Right. So I was divorced. My son hardly recognized me. And then ultimately I ended up losing it all anyway. And so that was a real shock to my system that I could work so hard for something and in the end actually lose it all. And then not only would I lose it all from a business perspective, but I'm losing it all from a personal perspective. And so the second go around, I decided that I would just never do that I would make sure that family and lifestyle and what I really wanted out of life would be right at the forefront, right? And so I've adopted this mantra that we've, kind of pushed out there for 10 years now. It's that the time is now, right? It's tattooed on my arm. It's on everything. It's on every sign in here that you've got no better time than right now. And so, back to your question, in 2011, there was a moment where I didn't feel very congruent. I knew I wanted to live. I had a great life in Florida, but I'd spent a lot of time in San Diego, and I knew there was something calling me to get out there, and I wasn't doing it. And so I kind of felt like a little bit of a fraud. I was like, here I am telling thousands of people to go for it, and yet I'm not going for it. And so we just packed all of our stuff up one day and just moved. And it was that simple. Wow,
that's cool. So I don't know if you've been back or you've tried investing down here in South Florida. Well, I'm actually in a little north of Palm Beach, that Jupiter area. I don't know if you know where that is.
Of course.
But I've tried real estate investing in where we do very well. But I've tried Broward. I got family in Broward, Miami-Dade a little. It's completely changed. It is insane, the amount of competition there.
Yeah, well, and actually that competition is good. I mean, the reality of it is that there are tens of thousands of cash buyers that are buying down there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which means as a wholesaler specifically, it means there's nothing but opportunity for you. When you have that big of an appetite and that animal is designed to eat voraciously over and over and over, that makes your job as a wholesaler infinitely easier. I mean, you can go into our piece of software, and I can tell you for sure there's tens of thousands of people that are paying all cash in Broward and Miami-Dade right now in the last 180 days, right? And so there's a lot of markets where that's not the case. But when you see that kind of appetite, and it represents 50 or 60% of the market, then as a wholesaler, you should be licking your chops, because all that means is one side of the equation is solved for you. All you have to do is literally focus. You just have to get into their world and clearly understand what they want to buy, where they want to buy, how much of it they want to buy, what's the price they want to pay, and you have your marching orders, right? Which makes your job so much easier as a wholesaler. Think about it. There's no guessing now. That if I have, let's just say that you have an amazing relationship with 10 of them, just 10, and they all have $500,000 cash they want to spend in the next 30 days. And in Broward County, they all want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house built after 1980 that they can pick up for $300,000, and it's going to need $60,000 in rehab, whatever the case may be, right? Somewhere in those types of neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods exist all over Broward. Then you effectively become extremely powerful in that moment.
Definitely.
Because if you have 10 people like that and they all have $500,000 cash that they want to use in the next 30 days, you suddenly become a $5 million buyer. And let me tell you who doesn't have an inventory problem. Somebody who has $5 million they need to spend in the next 30 days.
Yes.
And so that's probably the single biggest component that I think people miss about what we teach. And probably the most frustrating is that, think about this for a second, brother. If I pick up the phone and I called you today and I said, I got $5 million to spend and I want to spend it all in North Palm Beach County, Jupiter, maybe even West Palm Beach. And I want to buy 10 homes at $500,000 or whatever. Let's just, hypothetically. And I want to close on every single one of them, all cash by March 31st. And I give you every detail. Minimum 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built after 1990, etc. March you down the line. When we hang up the phone, think about what you would do next.
Oh, I already know exactly what I would do.
Right. And so that's my point. And anybody listening to this, they know what they would do next too. That's just the human part of us, right? We're all looking for the whale. And so that is extremely powerful from a psychological standpoint to do to somebody because the moment we hang up the phone, you work for me. That moment, you are officially in my employment. And all I have done is tell you I've got $5 million to spend and tell you exactly what I want to spend it on. But from your perspective, you're like, oh my God, I've taken this whole area and I've compressed it down into this one little thing that I need to go find right now. And I got a $5 million buyer, right? So I don't have to do all this other stuff. So think about if you can do that to several people in your market, realtors, other investors, other wholesalers, whatever, because you know exactly what your buyer, you will never have an inventory problem as long as you're speaking for money. Ever.
Totally agree with that. Yeah. So you're really big on data, especially looking for buyers now. I mean, is that still the case? Is that what you recommend to your students trying to find cash buyers?
100%.
Okay. And that would be,
and for the very reason I just shared with you, because anybody that is pissing and moaning about an inventory problem, I just told you how to handle it. Go get the buyers.
Oh yeah.
Because if you have the buyers, you will never have an inventory problem because you have money and you have a lot of it. And if you know how to take the money and sell the money, then and this is what I walk people and teach people how to do, you'll never have an inventory problem. Now, I'm not telling you that you don't still need to go market and do those things for deals and, use all the techniques and strategies that are out there, seller marketing, going after very strategic lists, vacant properties, expired listings, all the different things that are out there. We teach people to go after vacant properties, out-of-state owners, expired listings. We teach them to layer those things, data stack those things, and get really good lists and go after it. Market to them using direct mail, using ringless voicemail, using cold calling, using text blasting, Facebook marketing. I mean, I still want you to do all those things.
Definitely.
But I just also want you to know that at the exact same moment, the entire market can go to work for you if you have all the buyers behind you, because they just want you. They just want your money, right? I mean, and you have to keep in mind what you, in that particular scenario, you represent to them the golden goose, because you have $5 million to spend in the next 30 days and you know exactly what they want. Well, as a realtor and as a wholesaler, they never get that. Right? It's the single biggest pain point is the buyers that come to them that they're driving around on the weekends are looking at 47 properties and buying none of them. Right? And they don't ever have anybody that comes in and does a deal quick, right? Average deal on the average deal takes 78 days to close, national average, right? So here's a deal I can get closed in 14 days and get all cash and get the commission. I mean, it's like, and by the way, and I'll do it again next month and again the next month and again the next month. So it's all positioning. And so that's why I tell people good market, bad market, it's all about the buyers. You have to start with the cash buyers, period.
I used to be ruthless starting out looking for cash buyers. I remember once this guy advertised a open house for a wholesaler, and it was a vacant property. I went in there and I got like 20 cash buyers, like all their info. And the guy was like kicking me out, trying to pull me out. And I was still just trying to get cash buyers. I mean, I preach that to everyone, cash buyers, cash buyers, cash buyers, because honestly, sometimes it's never a problem with the prices. It's the buyer. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've always heard you talk about reverse wholesaling. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really look into it too further, but that's a great concept. That's something that's very interesting. So can you explain the way right now that you work with your family doing a huge wholesaling operation around the country?
Well, now the operation is not wholesaling anymore. So now the operation is turnkey. And so the way that got started was back in probably 2009. I started bringing buyers up from Florida, and my other brother started bringing buyers from Colorado into Memphis, Tennessee, where my dad was also wholesaling, right? Ironically, although none of us were working together, weren't really talking, we were all kind of doing the same thing, which is just the way the world works sometimes. But once we realized that we were all kind of doing the same thing, and my brother and I actually had buyers that had money, but they were scared of, because of the market, what was going on. They were scared of what was happening. We started bringing those buyers into Memphis, Tennessee, because they represent, Memphis was just slow and steady. It was cash flow, represented a nice place to park money and just make money without having to go through all the craziness of this that was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And so we started bringing those buyers in, and one thing led to another, and the appetite was there, but the business model wasn't there. We could sell them, but those buyers that we were bringing in out of state needed help. They needed property management. They needed rehab. They needed all these other things. So because of that, we started building those sides of our business. And you fast forward now down the line, and Memphis Invest, which just recently changed its name to REI Nation, is now in 7 markets. We have thousands of investors that now buy from us. We roughly sell between 900 and 1,000 properties a year. We roughly manage 6,000 properties for our investors.
Wow.
And we do everything. We basically buy it, we rehab it, we put a renter in place on a 2-year lease, and then we turn around and sell it as a performing asset to our investors for their portfolio, and then we manage that investment for them.
Nice.
And so what started as a little wholesaling operation turned into a really, really big, successful business that continues to just crush the game over and over and over. And my involvement, I was involved at the beginning and kind of got the whole thing going. And then quickly, once Real Estate Worldwide started taking off, I became very passionate about Real Estate Worldwide. So I started backing out of the day-to-day operations of Memphis Invest, and my 2 brothers and my father run that company now. I come on more from a strategic and marketing standpoint, and still own a small piece of it. But at the end of the day, I'm not involved from a day-to-day operational standpoint. Not involved at all. I still do a lot to help the company, and still do a lot, still participate in the company. But I'm not. I've got my own. Real Estate Worldwide keeps me very busy.
I bet. So are you doing, besides, you have REI Nation there, you have Real Estate Worldwide, is there any other aspects that you're doing investment-wise with commercial, multifamily?
We dabble. I mean, we have a Reg A fund that we own that does some private lending as well as some multifamily projects that we work with. We participate with a couple other companies that we own a significant piece of that does a lot of wholesaling as well. And we're on the front lines in a lot of different areas. But nothing, where I would say we're running any, between REI Nation and between Real Estate Worldwide, we're running those things like a business. All the rest of them are more kind of, these are ways for us to park money and get a return.
Okay. Yeah. So what makes you different than every other guru or anything like that? I mean, you've built businesses outside of real estate. You've went to real estate, built businesses, went to mentoring, you built businesses. What makes you different?
Me. I mean, That's it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we bring the practical value of what I do versus what a lot of other people. I mean, there's more similarities than there are differences, for sure. A million people out there that'll teach you how to flip houses. I don't know how many of them have flipped, 6,000. I don't know how many of them have the wisdom that I have, right? Having been in business, starting a business when I'm 17 until when I'm 30 years old, is doing $1.8 billion a year, and it's the seventh largest privately held company in the state of Florida. And then ultimately losing that, and then turning around and building two more empires on top of it. And then kind of being able to do that in a balanced way with my family and, my amazing kids and wife, and have hundreds of thousands of clients all over the world at this point. I mean, what makes it different is all that. I mean, at the end of the day, my wisdom and my ability to kind of share my knowledge from the front lines, from my vantage point, is very unique, right? Before I came into the industry, certainly reverse wholesaling didn't exist, because I brought it from the grocery industry. And I know that's changed the lives of, thousands of people, right? Just a very practical, smart way to do it and risk-free. Certainly the cash buyer database, none of that existed before we got here. The vacant property database, none of that existed. Private lender, none of that existed. So we've been at the forefront of bringing a lot, kind of getting the industry to pull along, not, by the way, in any kind of intentional way. It was just us doing what we naturally do. I think that there's something to be said for being the guy, the leader, the guy that's out in front, kind of pulling everybody along, versus the guy that's sitting at the back saying, me too, me too. I'm not a me too guy at all. Yeah. I'm a guy that's like, just get right here, lockstep with me, and I'm going to show you how it gets done. And I think our clients and our customers and our members and our students really appreciate that, right? That they find a ton of value in being that kind of raw, uncut, unapologetic way of just attacking life and attacking business.
Definitely. So you run multiple businesses. You have all these employees. They're obviously helping you out a lot here. I mean, what would you say your core values are for your business?
We have two things that we are extremely passionate about. Well, I would say three that we'll kind of put a bow on it this way. That, number one, that the time is now, right? Definitely. That to be reckless and irresponsible with time is unacceptable. The clock is ticking on all of us, and I don't care if you're 22 or you're 52. The days that you have left on this planet are numbered, and that number is way too small for all of us. Yep. And so you got a choice in that. And so that kind of leads me to the second thing, is that we feel like it is our responsibility, and what we are good at is to wake people up. Rattle their cage. Don't apologize for that. Show them a very straightforward and simple way to create real income and real opportunity in their family. A lot of people didn't grow up the way you grew up, or the way I grew up, with a father that kind of, we see him on the front lines. Most people don't get that. Most people in America today, they've got a mother or father or both that are sitting there going, hard, day in and day out, going to work for somebody else, and nobody's getting rich, right? And they're struggling. And so it's my responsibility, because I'm good at it, to rattle their cage and show them a way out, and show them a very simple way to get things done, which kind of leads me to the last thing that we're very passionate about, which is mediocrity is the enemy, right? There's no point in being average. That is me to the point of that mediocrity is the enemy. There is no point and no nobility in being average, right? I mean, there's nothing to be gained by that. And so I'm allergic to average. Cannot stand any component of it. And I believe that, that's who we are. That's what our company is about, is that we expect the best, and we approach the day that way.
Yeah. So I know you just said there, you said a lot of things, a lot of stuff to unravel there. And you're a big guy in family, having the freedom. Time is a precious commodity. How do you tell your students this to balance it? Because I feel like a lot of real estate investors, they start wholesaling to get rid of the corporate jobs so they can spend time with their family, and eventually they get consumed with it, and that's all they do, and they basically still have a high-paying job.
Well, it's exactly what we teach them, right? So basically, you have to go through the process. You cannot avoid the hustler component. The hustler component is necessary to get the business off the ground. That does come with some sacrifice, for sure. Doesn't mean it has to be at the sacrifice of your family, but you're definitely going to work late nights. You're definitely going to be up in the middle of the night putting things together, doing whatever it takes to get this business off the ground. That is the hustler.
Mhm.
But as quickly as that gets going and you get confident that you can produce income in some kind of predictable fashion, which that's what system, I mean, that's kind of what we teach, right? So we show people how to do. Here's how you put $1 in, here's how you get 3 out. When you get to that level, well, then the hustler has to die, right? And that is the worst part, is that everything that you feel and that you have come to, admire about yourself that got you to this place, got you out of that 9 to 5, now has to die because,
Hmm.
and I mean, it has to die in totality. It has to completely go away in order for you to evolve and become the entrepreneur. Because the entrepreneur places such a high value on time that your job now becomes to fire yourself as often as you can. Get yourself out of all the tasks, right? All the tasks that you were having to do as an entrepreneur, I mean, as the business owner, getting started, the hustler, go, 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 go. Now it's, all right, I got to put a system, a process, people in place to do all these little things for one reason and only one reason, is that I want options. I'm not telling you that you won't still do some of those things, but there's a big difference between having to do it and having the option to do it. Two completely different things. And so until you give yourself the option of doing things, you will always own a job. It's that simple. And so the hustler has to die in order for the entrepreneur to appear. And that is the process. That is the evolution, if you will.
Wow, wow. So, another thing I wanted to ask too was, what gets you pumped up every day to get out of bed and start the day and just go?
I got a chance, right?
Hmm.
I've been to Haiti. I've been to Nicaragua. I've spent a lot of time understanding how valuable life is. The vast majority, I mean, 99.9% of people that will watch this or hear this or are walking around today are absolutely taking life for granted.
Yes.
They don't understand how fast it can be gone. And the reality of it is that when you wake up in the morning, you got a chance. I mean, why the hell would you spring out of bed? I get it. We all have our bad days. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it is not very hard to take a moment and center yourself and say, thank God, these are the problems I've got. Thank God, these are the things I've got to overcome. Thank God I don't have to try to figure out how I'm going to get food today or get water today or, where I'm going to sleep tonight or any number of things which are the problems of, billions of people. Thank God these are the problems I get to solve every day. Thank God this is the opportunity I get. I mean, it's not hard. You'll take a moment. It's not hard to get real excited about what you've really got going on. We live in an amazing place at an amazing time, and the vast majority of us have the opportunity to create the life we want to create. And so
Definitely.
if you can't get excited about that, then you need to check your pulse.
I check my pulse all the time. Sometimes I get overwhelmed, like, and then I just think to myself, like, 3 years ago, scrubbing toilets, making $7 an hour. These are the problems I wish I had
Yeah.
back then. So this is,
Yeah.
it,
I mean, look at it, dude. You started the podcast. You're sitting on here, creating an opportunity for yourself to go and interview people that play at a very, very high level so that you, not only that you can learn and get educated, but so that the people that are following you can. I mean, to your point, if you don't make a decision to do that, it doesn't exist. And it is as simple as you just deciding. That's all it was. It was a decision that you made. And could you have gotten rejected? Absolutely. But who cares?
I've been
Yeah.
rejected many times.
Who
I don't
cares?
really care. I know. I've been rejected so many times giving offers out. Like, I'm just numb.
Who
I'm just
cares?
so numb. But yeah. So you have this mantra. Life is precious. Life's important. I've seen you had an Instagram post, probably a week or two ago, where you had the number 78 minus your age. I was like,
Yep.
whoa. And I thought about that myself. So you weren't always like this. Was having your lowest lows at age 30 after that grocery business and your near-death experience on the airplane, was that the change?
Of course. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was, I had a series of things, losing a business, um, having a mentor pass away, being in a plane that was making a crash landing. Yeah, I've had several things that have just kind of really galvanized in my heart and in my brain what really matters, right? And I think those things have happened to me so that I could kind of share that message, right? And that may be arrogant of me to think, but it is what it is. It's just the way I think. I believe that I've learned some really, really valuable lessons. It's not every guy that gets to go and build and run a $2 billion a year company by the time he's 30 years old, right? It's not every guy that gets to, walk away from a plane crash. I mean, that stuff but it happened to me. And so I might as well talk about it, and I might as well wake up and get the message loud and clear, because somebody's clearly trying to talk to me to get my head on straight and do what I need to do. And so, yeah, that's exactly where it all comes from. And I'm paying attention.
Wow. That's great. And I know you instill that on everything you talk about. And it really, really pumps me up, pumps everyone up. That's really what I like to think. So let's shift this over to that. I'm pumped about that. But you've been through a recession before in real estate. You actually thrive in a recession. What's your advice to someone like me, that's younger? We're doing wholesaling, real estate investing. What should we do to plan for if a recession happened?
Start marketing for cash buyers right now. Not tomorrow, tonight. Literally go pull the list of every single cash buyer in your market and go send what we call our challenge letter, which is simply a letter that is effectively making it where the cash buyer has to call you, right? You're kind of letting them know that I'm kind of a big deal in the market. I know who you are, and I can help you. I can help create other opportunities for you in the market, but you need to call me. And when they call you, you really, like I talked about earlier on the show, is basically use that opportunity to control that conversation and understand the value that you're bringing to that relationship. Position it correctly to where the only cash buyers that will call you off that letter are the ones that need you. That's the beauty of it. It's not like a motivated seller. Motivated seller, you get plenty of calls where people tell you to piss off. That doesn't happen on the cash buyer side, right? The cash buyer side, the only people that call you are the ones that need you. And so every call is an opportunity to do a deal. And if you think about it, the average cash buyer buys 2.5 deals a year, and the average wholesale fee is 10 grand. So that one person is worth $25,000 a year to you. You want to make 300 grand next year? Okay, it's going to take you 12 people. 12 people. You're 12 relationships away from making 300 grand as a wholesaler. I can't think of anything that you could be doing that's more valuable getting ready for a recession than go get all the cash buyers lined up. Go spend time, go invest all your effort and energy into really nurturing and building that relationship, and start running your business based off that information that they give you. Because when the market corrects, who do you think are going to be the biggest buyers that rush in to buy all the discounted property? All the cash buyers. And you're going to be in complete control of those relationships. Everybody else is going to be knocking on their door, but you're already going to have the relationship. And all they're going to want to do is buy it just a little bit cheaper. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a good market or a bad market. One thing I did learn through the recession is people are always buying. People always selling, always buying. That does not stop. And we're not operating in the retail market. When the recession comes in or the correction comes in, whatever it ends up being, then it will, all that will happen is the prices and everything will shift down, but all the activity is still going to go. And where you want to be is sitting right there in control of the money with the cash buyers.
Definitely. So what would you say is the biggest opportunity nobody's doing in real estate investing right now?
I don't know that nobody's doing it, but I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with and unwilling to get the education on how to really go and do the kind of creative seller financing deals. Being able to walk into a seller and allow them to carry the note, carry the paper. It is I have a really good friend that does it, a guy by the name of Eddie Speed. He is just a master at it. He's literally taught, he's taught more people than I've taught. He's done tens of thousands of these transactions. And he made a really, really good point to me. He's like, Kent, if you and I go after the same deal, you're going to walk in there and try to buy that $200,000 house for $120,000. And I'm going to walk in there and tell him I can pay him 200 grand. Who do you think's going to win? And he's got a really good point, right? And when he does that 200 grand deal, basically he walks in and says, I'm going to give you, $10,000 down, and then you're going to carry a note for $180,000,
Right.
and you're going to carry it at 0% interest for the first 10 years, and then it's going to be 5% for the last 20, and then he will just quickly go and either put a buyer, an actual homeowner in there, and basically flip the deal with the homeowner in there and have them put $30,000 down. So now he's already even made more money on it than I did just on the down payment, and gets to sit there and charge them interest on a note where he's got to pay 0% and 5 for the first 10, and then the last 20, he'll go charge them 8% interest across the entire 30, and he'll make $100,000 on that deal when I was going to make 10. And when you understand how to do that kind of stuff, it's you're really tough to beat. Really
Definitely.
Tough to beat.
I mean, we're working right now. We're trying to get a couple lease options with this one guy. He's got 10 houses and he's motivated. And we're working on it now. We're in talks right now. I got an appointment tomorrow for it, but I'm looking forward to it. I like stuff like that. So, do you do a lot of short sales, or have experience?
I don't do any of them. Nope.
Okay. And have you had any experience doing those back in the day in Broward?
Nope. We avoided them like the plague.
Really? Is there a reason?
No. It just wasn't. It was unnecessary for us. We could get our hands on plenty of deals without having to get into it. Right. I'm not looking for complexity. What makes one of the rules that I've learned a long time ago was there's a lot of elegance and simplicity, and there's plenty of that opportunity around. Certainly some of the, there's no question that there's at that time, there's massive opportunity with short sales. There's no question that there's massive opportunity everywhere in real estate, right? Depending on what's going on, whether at the time it was short sales or REOs, and in normal day to day, it might be probates and it might be any other thing. I'm looking for, how can I move quickly? How can I reduce risk? And how can I be in and out of a deal as fast as humanly possible?
Yep.
Because I don't want to be caught with anything, right? And so if I can get in and out of a deal in 72 hours and make 20 grand, or I can stay in it for 180 days and make 50 grand, I'll take the 20 all day long.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. My biggest vice last year that I'm working on with myself here is we do usually a 90-10 split. So 90% wholesale, 10% wholesale. And, I was just running around, just getting wholesale, doing like 3 or 4 or 5 at a time, making 40, 50K each deal. I stopped focusing on cash buyers. And, that muscle of just always getting cash buyers really stopped. And I was in a situation where it was too tight and I just couldn't get the wholesale deal. And, I brought all my cash buyers in there and none of them went. And then I panicked, had to find a cash buyer. I eventually found someone, made about 10, 15K on it, but that was scary. I almost lost that deal. So this year I've been really focused on cash buyers. We're just constantly adding them. And that's definitely a testament to.
I would tell you, get in there. Don't only add them, but get in there and really control that relationship, right? They need to see you. Like, I'll give you an example. We would never send out a property ever in my business. You'll never see an email list go out. You'll never see a text blast go out on any property ever.
Okay.
Because our cash buyers have been framed mentally to believe that to be a part of our VIP buyers list is a very important thing, which means you're going to have to give me information, because I'm actually going to go create deals that fit this profile for you. Which, if I go create deals that actually fit that profile, then why would I ever have to publish them? Because I'm going to pick up the phone and just call you with it. Wow. And so the moment I start firing properties out, I've kind of broken that entire illusion, if you will, right? And so, and at some point the illusion becomes reality. And so you'll never see that with us. And that is the reason why. So that's what I mean by that cash buyer relationship is so tight that I confidently know any property I put under contract exactly who it's going to go to. Wow. Literally who it's going to go to. And, we have at any given time, we'll have 150 people sitting on our ready to purchase list, meaning cash buyers that are sitting in the wings, ready to go right now. We know what they want, and we're out there creating inventory for them. And so that's when it becomes a business. That's when it becomes extremely predictable. And you don't have those scenarios like what you've got or what you have pop up, because we're not making them. I mean, if you think about it, McDonald's doesn't think about anymore how to make a hamburger. They got a system, baby, right? They know exactly how to make it over and over and over. I mean, there is no thought that's going into it. And so there's it's only one of the most valuable companies in the world. Because it's a process. And so the way in our business, the way in our industry, you have to figure out how to create those processes that create that predictable outcome over and over and over. And you have so much demand over on the cash buyer side that if you'll just channel that energy down into the opportunities that you're creating, you'll be shocked at how much easier it'll make your business.
Wow. So, man, I'm excited. You're going to make me pull 100 cash buyers out tomorrow. I'm telling you. Wow. So, where do you want to be with your real estate worldwide and your students in the next 1, 5, and 10 years?
We're still out there trying to probably figure out what we're going to be when we grow up. I can tell you that my vision is that our boardroom mastermind is continuing to grow by leaps and bounds. I'm hoping that in the next 5 years, we're probably at 500 members. It's something that I'm extremely excited about. It's a mastermind that's run by our real estate worldwide team. Some of the best investors from around the world that get together quarterly. Our software business, we're continuing to improve it, and develop it. It's got thousands of users on it every day. My hope is that at some point, if the price is right, we'll maybe make an exit. I don't know if that'll happen, but the idea would be that we built something so valuable that somebody down the line sees an opportunity for us to work together on taking it out to a bigger audience and kind of letting somebody else run with it. But I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I love what I do. I love helping people. I'm very passionate about, exactly like the conversation we're having here today, right? Rattling people's cages, kind of showing them that a tweak here, a tweak there can make a huge impact in their life. That's what I really care about. My businesses afford me the opportunity to do that. But there is no plan for me to ever stop doing that in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, definitely. So I always end this on the last question. There's no one really been there except for you. I can ask this question too, because you've been here at the age of 30. I always ask this. So if you were 17 years old living in, Pompano Beach, Florida, with no money, what would you do to get your first deal and become the next Clothier?
I would immediately go into Craigslist today, not tomorrow. I would go in there today and I would go into the real estate section and I would immediately start running searches in the real estate section for words like cash offer, must sell for cash, cash only. And when you bring up those listings like that, what you're going to see is that it's primarily wholesalers that are trying to dump properties that they've gotten under contract. And if you really take a step back and understand what's happening there, those are wholesalers that don't know how to actually sell. They don't have a buyer. And they don't know how to go and create, an actual buyer's list. Therefore, they're selling their crap on Craigslist. And so, but there's still an opportunity there because they clearly have a property under contract at some point. So I'd make a few phone calls and find out the properties that are actually still available. And I would immediately go to Home Depot and invest, a few bucks and get some corrugated plastic. I would get a black marker and I would get the stakes and I would go put up bandit signs, handwritten, that say must sell, all cash, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever. If he's trying to sell a property for $100,000, go put it up there for $125,000 with your phone number. And I would go put it at every major intersection where there's a stoplight around where those properties are. And the only people that are going to call on those signs are cash buyers in the area. And when you're taking those calls, I would immediately start figuring out a way to, 1, nurture that relationship, but 2, go and co-wholesale that guy's deal that he's over there that he clearly can't sell that you got from Craigslist, and go figure out a quick way to make a $5,000 or $10,000 spread like that.
Wow. Time is now. That's
what I would do.
Sweet.
And it cost you a little bit of time. That's it.
Oh man, I got a lot out of this. So this is great, man. So how can people get a hold of you? I want to announce first, you got some upcoming events. You have the Nashville boardroom meeting, your Nashville accelerator meeting with Justin Colby. I actually last week had the same exact interview like this with Justin. Great guy. If you saw the podcast, listen to him and listen to this thing, go there. He's got his San Diego accelerator meeting and then his social scaling with Lo Silva and Ryan Stuman in San Diego. Those are going to be below right now for you. Can you explain those events?
Sure. We have our quarterly boardroom meeting. So if somebody believes that they want to get around the best investors in the country, they can apply and jump on the phone with us. It's real easy. Basically, you just go to my Instagram page or go to my, go look me up on Facebook, reach out, and we'll arrange for those phone calls. And you can come and basically make a seat deposit, come, and if you're accepted, come and sit in there, and you will clearly see why Mastermind is so effective, right? How rising tide raises all ships. So that's what the Mastermind meetings are. The accelerator events are all very topic specific. So the one I'm doing with Justin in Nashville is only going to be on how to build and scale a wholesaling business, very specifically, right? What are the step-by-step instructions to getting a business to where you're doing 10 to 20 wholesale deals a month, starting from ground zero. So that's a 2-day event that we're doing right on the back end of our boardroom in Nashville. And then about a month later, myself and Lo Silva and Ryan Stuman are doing an event in San Diego that is all going to be about, basically, it was social scaling. How do you go and use social media to create massive authority in a market, right? We've all been very good at it. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers out there, but with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, now TikTok. There's a lot of different ways to create authority very, very quickly in a market. And if you understand what to post, when to post, how to post it, what the whole social aspect is of this, you can take over a market very, very quickly. I mean, if you think about it, you and I would not even be talking about for Instagram, right? And so you can really create a massive amount of authority and goodwill and bring business your way if you just know what you're doing. So we're going to do that event in San Diego. It's a 2-day accelerator. And then a few weeks after that, myself and Ryan we're doing what's called the Millionaire Mastermind. It is a little bit different event. It's going to be more along the lines of general business and sales. Real estate will be a little bit component of it, but not a huge. And that'll roughly be about 1,000 people in Dallas, Texas. So, and all of that, all you got to do is just hit me up on Instagram. It's Kent Clothier, or it's at Kent Clothier. Just go to Facebook and find me again, right Kent there. Clothier, and I will be happy to get you hooked up, get you on the phone with the right people, and get you set up.
Perfect. And was any of that associated with your Scale and Summit event?
No, we're put both of those events on. We've done those events 10 years in a row. This is the first year I needed a break, so I'm taking a year off from the big events this year.
Oh, okay. So, guys, please check him out. His socials and everything is on the bottom. Please check it out. Kent is a great guy, and he's bringing some killers on for these events. So go check him out. Hit him up with some free content, and please get some cash buyers. So any parting thoughts or words?
Time is now, baby. Get to it. Don't waste it.
Time is now, guys. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.